All right, my name is Christopher and I have HSV2, and this is my biggest issue with the stigma and why it doesn't make any sense, and maybe it'll get you thinking too. So the number one reason why the stigma makes no sense to me is because people are getting genital herpes from a non-sexual source that's not typically disclosed. I brought my whiteboard just to help. So here we have the classic whiteboard. This is what I explained to everyone last year, and it got some eyes on it. So we have number one, we have Kyle over here. Kyle has a cold sore. Now in society, a cold sore is just called a cold sore. It should have been referred to as oral herpes or an oral herpes outbreak because that's essentially what it is. A cold sore is something that's not typically passed sexually, and it just seems like a part of being human. You get it when you're sick, when you're run down, when you're stressed. No, you get it because you have herpes. These are just triggers that are causing your cold sore to come. So in society, a cold sore is non-sexual, so obviously less stigma, because people are not gonna ever not judge sex, because that's something that people are gonna have different opinions on, regardless of your ethnicity or religion or whatever. So sex is the issue, not herpes. It is not usually disclosed. If you're a responsible and educated person, you'll know this is herpes, and you'll know it could cause some risks, such as passing it orally to someone, even mouth to mouth, or passing it to their genitals through oral sex, which could change their life forever. Apparently people don't care, but that's okay. It's besides the point. And there's obviously less stigma. Now there's still a stigma if it's like, oh my God, you have herpes, bro, like you have a cold sore. It's like self-conscious, people don't want to be seen with it outside, but you're certainly less stigmatized, or you feel less stigmatized than beautiful, I don't know what we're gonna call her. What's a beautiful name? Sunflower. We're gonna call her Sunflower, because Sunflower wasn't disclosed to by Kyle, and she eventually gets genital herpes HSV1 typically. Either one could be HSV1 or HSV2, but HSV1 is most commonly up here and can be caused down there as genital herpes. So she was probably not disclosed to because Kyle doesn't even know it's herpes, or he doesn't even call it herpes, or he doesn't live in a world where they're conditioned to disclose oral herpes / cold sores before kissing or oral sex. So she now feels the full stigma. She now feels dirty because society said if you have genital herpes, you're a slut and you're gross and you shouldn't have slept around and it's your fault and you made a mistake. Did she make a mistake? And this is besides the point too, because like there is a small chance that oral herpes or genital herpes could be passed without symptoms present through something called asymptomatic viral shedding. Doesn't really matter to go into the science, but there is a small chance that people can pass oral herpes or genital herpes without symptoms being there. That's why it's important to disclose either one. So she then feels the absolute need to disclose her oral herpes because that's what everyone else told her. So that is my main issue. I'm okay with people's points where they're like, oh, but that's HSV2, bro. No. The whole point I'm making here is that HSV1 up here doesn't turn to HSV2 down here. And the point is that a non-sexual, non-disclosed cold sore is automatically changing someone's life when they end up with HSV1 down here. Now, you're probably going to have an easier time if you have HSV1 down here than HSV2 in terms of transmission and in terms of outbreak frequency. But the actual mental part of it is basically the same as if you had HSV2. So my basic point here is that like people are getting genital herpes from someone who doesn't feel the need to disclose because society hasn't really made it the same stigma, the same idea, the same concept. They haven't reinforced that this is herpes and that you need to disclose this. It's almost as if the non-disclosure and normalization of cold sores is the reason why people end up with HSV1 genitally, and then all of the stigma that should have been placed on both is now only placed on HSV1 genitally or genital herpes in general. It's a lot of generals. What is this, an army? But anyways, that's my point with the stigma. Regardless of the HSV2, completely sexual to sexual, have to disclose, possibly more outbreaks, like, you know, having sex only idea that comes with HSV2. I don't like the fact that people are feeling just as bad as I do, but they typically weren't even disclosed to, and they were from a place that people don't even necessarily know is herpes. Anyways, love you, miss you. See you in the next video. Extra help in the description box.